Hello and welcome to the top 4 round of the Hiroshima Championship Series One Piece Trading Card Game OP08 Tournament. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious, and today, very excited for this one. Going to be a cool matchup for you in this tournament. We've seen the last couple rounds, been good games so far, good as in one was a really good game and one was a little bit lopsided, but showcased the strength and why that deck is a tier 1 deck. But moving into the top 4, first we're going to look at the top 8 right here. In the top 8, just wanting to let you know that there are 4 Trafalgar Laws Perona, Black Yellow Luffy, OP07 Lucci, and Doflamingo, that OP01 blue. Showcasing what's in top 4, it may not surprise a lot of people, especially if you're on my side of Trafalgar Law being a tier 1 deck. In the top 4, there are 3 starter deck 10 Trafalgar Laws, 3 out of the 4 of them advancing, and now a guaranteed one in finals because there's an odd number of them in top 4. The other deck down there, if you can't read Japanese, is Doflamingo, the mono blue OP01 Doflamingo. So this video, if you don't remember the title or thumbnail, is going to be Red Purple Law versus Doflamingo. Now, we've seen this Doflamingo player previously in the tournament, so we're a little familiar with their list. But the Red Purple Law player is a new player, so there could be some differences in this list that we did not see in the previous videos. And just in case you were not aware, this is not my content, this is not my stream, I do not own this. If you want to watch the actual championship tournament, feel free to click the link in the description below. I've got the link there if you want to watch and not hear me yap. But for those of you that want to stick around, I truly support, or well, I appreciate you supporting me. There we go. But anyways, going into this, it might be a little tricky in my experience in this matchup. Now, not OP08 with my experience, but in general, a lot of times the Trafalgar Law being able to constantly bottom deck those bodies that you're spamming, while also off of that leader effect put down bodies themselves, really just kind of outpaces you in the long run of the game. You can't really build anything, and the Trafalgar Law just really dominates in that portion of the game. So we'll see how this ends up playing out. Overall, we do know that the Black Maria, which we can see a couple in this Trafalgar Law's hand, a really good card overall in this deck. The Trafalgar Law looks like they have a Gordon, 2 Black Marias, I think there was a Reiju in there, and there was one more card, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's definitely not as good of a card as Black Maria. So right now I think they're just deciding whether they want to keep it or mulligan at this point. The Doflamingo ended up keeping their hand. They liked what they saw, not taking a mulligan overall. Looking at their hand now, they've got a Charlotte Pudding, and they've got a couple 2K counters in the Crocodile and Trafalgar Law that came out in OP07. They got the Edward Weevil, very good card. Really bumped up to this deck to a playable level back when EB01 released. And then also that OP07 Jinbei, that's very strong. So a pretty decent hand overall, especially if you plan on playing that Jinbei. Allows you to also play that Edward Weevil down, so we'll see if they do that to be able to +1 card. And it looks like the Trafalgar Law ended up keeping the hand. The other card that I couldn't remember what it was that 4-cost Trafalgar Law, so some alternates of the Black Maria and Reiju along with that promo Gordon. So pretty decent hand, I feel like, for the Trafalgar Law. We did see in the previous video the Trafalgar Law starter deck really capitalizing with that 4-cost Law blocker to be able to catch some cards in the early game. So we'll see if that also happens here in this one. It looks like, I can't remember where the going first marker was, but it looks like it's on the Doflamingo side. So Doflamingo is going to be going first. You kind of like that at times, to be able to be the first one to swing. And so we pass no Peronas or anything to play on the turn 2 Dawn right now. You could preemptively play something like the Raise Max or Gordon just to be able to bottom deck whatever body that the Doflamingo is going to put down, right? Especially when they're at 3, they might have a blind flip. So you want to be able, because more than likely the blind flip is going to be a 3,000 power or higher character, going to get bottom deck. So is exactly going to be doing that after playing that Gordon. It is a blocker Doflamingo. Not a bad one, maybe not the ideal one that you want, but not a bad one because it does allow you to rearrange your top 5. You're going to be able to move around exactly what you want. It looks like they're thinking about putting the 2K Crocodile on the top of the deck, going to be drawing into that. Not a bad idea overall. And I couldn't quite catch what they might play if they decide to play a character the next turn. I think maybe they wouldn't want to play a character in the next turn, just simply, well, it depends, honestly. It looks like what they're doing right now is they've got the Vanilla Moira second and then the Dracul Mihawk there. So the reason that I say that you maybe don't want to play the next one is because you do that Jinbei Weevil play like I mentioned. So having that Dracul Mihawk there at 3rd might be something, well, they wouldn't draw into that. They draw into the Vanilla Gecko. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what they plan on doing next turn. But what I do know is that the Trafalgar Law did end up taking a life. They've got a Charlotte Pudding in hand now, along with a 5-drop Eustace Captain Kidd. I think they're really thinking about at this point whether or not the Doflamingo is worth bottom decking, right? Because especially with this deck, you may want to do something like put the Charlotte Pudding out, right? That is essentially a Eustace Captain Kidd that allows you to revamp Dawn after you put it back in your Dawn deck through bottom decking. So that would give you kind of an ability to be able to consistently stay right on top of them without having to commit something like the Black Maria or anything like that. So looks like they are going to end up bottom decking that Doflamingo blocker. Going to be attaching 1 and swinging 6 at lead with 6 cards in hand. They're going to be countering out. They don't want to get that law like I had mentioned earlier. They don't want to get caught with 7 cards in hand. So just pitching that one right now, they do have the ability to get cards back from the trash in the starter deck. Gecko Moira, but it looks like instead of putting, they're actually going to be playing the Black Maria first. So going ahead and bottom decking the Doflamingo, going to be playing that Reiju down while they're behind on Dawn. Only 5 cards in hand, so they will be able to draw 2 off of this Reiju. Good sequencing there. You definitely don't want to Black Maria before you try to Reiju, because if you Black Maria'd, you'd be ahead on Dawn and therefore wouldn't get the effect off of the Reiju. So going back now until they were at the same Dawn, which is 3, going to be going into 5 next turn. And so Doflamingo now at 5, going to be thinking about what they want to do. It's going to be interesting to see where they are. The 4-drop Gecko Moira is at the top of the deck, so they may be thinking about playing it, and right now they're going to be swinging 6. No effect off of this one, so it looks like it may be a Jinbei Weevil play like I was thinking earlier. And so seeing here if they want to trash one. The Black Maria is a 2K for anyone who does not know. A really, really good card overall in this deck, and really just one of the better cards in the game in my opinion, especially in the beginning stages of OP08. Off that Reiju, it looked like they drew a Sanji and another Raise Max. So really, really good. You got some power minusing options to be able to bottom deck any character that the Doflamingo really provides on the field that's not like a 12K Kaido, right? And so the Sanji, also another 2K in there, also could be good after you leader effect a couple times. But going to be taking that 6K swing right there and putting the life in hand overall. Not 100% sure what the life was, but ended up playing Pudding. Okay, Pudding is interesting in this scenario. Maybe Oh gosh, interesting with this. I don't. I mean, they did have a really big hand, and so you think like at this stage of the game that the Trafalgar Law is probably not going to have as many cards. After they do like a Reiju, right? And they had, I think, about 8 cards in hand. The pudding is going to get a lot of value, so shuffling up that deck before they draw a couple more cards. I think, is it draw 4 or draw 5? Actually, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's draw 5, and then their start of the turn will be 6 cards overall. So yes, it is 5 cards right there. Going to see exactly what it is. Not awful, I would say, especially because they don't have any other characters on field, right? You don't need exactly bottom decking overall. So drawing in their turn, they're going to be at 5 non-tied with the Doflamingo. Could still use that Black Maria and then also bottom deck nothing to be able to play down a character like the Reiju, right? Build up their hand a little bit. They would be at 5 and technically, well, no, they have to use the Dawn before swinging. So maybe what you could do is you could play down this Eustace Captain Kidd, right? That would rest all 5 of your Dawn. Use leader effect to then be behind and then draw with the Reiju that you play down off of the leader effect, and then maybe Black Maria to get right back up. But starting out with a Reiju 5k swing is going to take a life right there. It is going to be that 1-drop Perona. Very good card to help reorder the top or bottom of the deck, and going to be playing that 5-drop Kid, like I mentioned, to be able to establish a blocker on the field. Use that leader effect, even though you're not really bottom decking anything. You don't really have to. You're not really worried about the pudding once it's on the field, to have 5 cards in hand and draw 2 more. So just as quick as the cards went back into the deck, the Trafalgar Law now is back at 7 cards overall, and with a Charlotte Pudding in hand, a Sanji, a Charlotte Pudding, a couple more blockers and threatening attackers. It almost feels like the Trafalgar Law is almost at the same spot as it was before. The only thing is it doesn't have the bottom decking cards that it did previously. So getting that 5 off of the Black Maria and putting a couple away to be able to match the amount of Dawn that the Doflamingo has. Again, I can't describe how strong Black Maria is in this format, especially if you are a deck like the Doflamingo that doesn't necessarily have any removal type things, right? Like, I mean, it can get rid of stuff off of the Boa, like 1 cost, but not really able to deal a lot of times with the anything higher than that. So anyways, going into this, if you aren't sure what that is, that Jinbei right there played the Edward Weevil from hand, drew a card, and then they used the leader effect to play that Gecko Moira down and get a 2k back in hand. So a couple 2ks in hand now at this point, and plenty of bodies overall. Really nice for this Doflamingo player. 7 Dawn turn, you got 3 4-cost bodies in this one, and so going to just block right there and use a 2k just to be able to save it. Really good idea overall to be able to keep that and drawing 1 card for turn. That card being what looks like another Black Maria right there. You probably only really want 1 Black Maria on the field at one time. It's probably not really worth it to play 2, I feel like, in certain matchups and stuff, and really there's no necessary need, right? Especially when you have Kid Killers in hand, you've got Zoros in hand, right? More blockers in the Eustace Captain Kidd and the Queen. You probably want those out. So starting out with the 5k poke on that Reiju, going to be countered out with that 4-drop Vanilla Gecko Moira right there, and just going to be doing the same thing again. So you know what? Oh, actually swinging at the rested Gecko, the starter deck Gecko right there, just clearing the board of bodies. Going to be playing that Queen and using the Queen effect to draw 2 and trash 1. Kind of maybe looking for a Gordon or a Raise Max, ended up finding another queen and a Trafalgar Law right there. So thinking about what they want to discard, thinking about this pudding right here as trash. I don't know. Would you keep pudding? I guess in theory, and I kind of thought about this after the last video, you don't really need Black Maria and pudding on the field at the same time, right? Not only because it's, just not super efficient with the Dawn, but the Black Maria is going to catch you back up to your opponent right after that. And the extra Dawn that you get rested is not really needed overall because the Black Maria's effect is at the end of turn. So you probably play the pudding if you don't have a Black Maria established and you don't have one in hand. So that's what I would assume overall after watching a little bit in action with this. And we'll see if our player ends up actually discarding that Charlotte pudding that's in their hand. It looks like that's what they're favoring right now, and that is going to be what they're discarding. So the Eustace Captain Kidd effect, going to be getting a Dawn back from that Dawn minusing on the Queen. And with 3 Dawn left, thinking about what they want to do, you could... I don't really even think you play the Zorro at this point. I think what you could do is really just attach 3 to leader. Just go ahead and swing 8. Maybe try to get another life right there or 2 2Ks. I think both would be pretty valuable overall, but just going to be sticking to 7 at lead, leaving that 1 Dawn up. Going to be getting a life in that Jinbei and thinking about swinging with the Kid. This would be another 7K swing with the Kid. I don't hate this overall at this point. It could be interesting, but we'll see exactly how this goes. I wonder how the interaction goes. So if somebody in chat could tell me how this would go, because I'm trying to think about it, because if it works this way, it would absolutely be broken. I think the Black Maria, even if you were to use the effect of Black Maria and play like Trafalgar Law down, right? Use Black Maria, use leader effect, play the Zorro over the Black Maria, goes to the trash. I still think the end of turn action still happens from the Black Maria, even though the Black Maria is not on the field. So let me know in the comments if that's a correct ruling overall. I'm trying to learn a little bit with these videos, just as much as I'm enjoying commentating them and stuff. So it would be a really interesting interaction, but that 7K swing being countered out with a couple cards there. Not want to take too much life overall as this Doflamingo player. Now they're at 9, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at this point. And so with 9 Dawn, thinking about where they want to go, you got the Boa Hancock there to be able to essentially just like freeze one of the attackers, right? Nothing attacking. They're showing the Gravity Blade right now. Gravity Blade's such a good card in this matchup, and this Doflamingo player playing 4 of them overall, just not seeing one at this point in the game. The Gravity Blade does a great job in matchups like this to be able to bottom deck several different key characters in the deck. It could be blockers, it could be different attackers, things like that. So we'll see where they want to go. The Boa Hancock is really, really good overall, I feel like. So doesn't allow you to maybe draw more cards though at this point. They don't really have any cards overall that really get to draw. No way to reorder and look around at the top of their deck to be able to play another character off leader effects. So I feel like maybe Boa is your best bet at this point to try to slow them down. Just like try to Boa elect like the what can't attack? What would you want to not attack? Because the blockers, you kind of want the blockers to attack in a sense. I guess it just depends as you're swinging at these Reijus what the Trafalgar Law player does with those Reijus. So swinging 5 at the Reiju, and they've got a couple counter options in hand. You've got the Trafalgar Law, Queen, Eustace Captain Kidd are all 1Ks, but just going to be resting that Queen right there, not giving up any resources whatsoever. And so going to be using leader effects, swinging 7, it looked like at the kid, and going to be playing this Dracula Mihawk. Dracula Mihawk, a 2K character, but you've got a couple 2Ks in hand, you got a little bit of counter, and I think overall you just want to pace up bodies at this point. So I think you're all right with that card being able to hit the field and try to get in this battle overall. So it is a 7K attack. You do have a 2K Black Maria overall if you do want to use that, if they are swinging at the Eustace Captain Kid. I think I saw that's where they pointed, and that is going to be what they do. You're not really worried, I feel like, at this point with this deck of, you know, the Black Maria. The Black Maria has done its job, gotten a couple different effects off, and so after getting that KO, the Edward Weevil on the Reiju, going to be electing to not attack what looked like to be the the Eustace Captain Kid right there. So we'll see exactly how this plays out. The Kid not going to be swinging. A Gordon hits the field, which is very, very nice. Probably going to be seeing that Gordon played in this turn to bottom deck something. The Boa Hancock is a 8,000 power character, so that's not going to be something that you're going to be able to bottom deck just from the cards that you have in hand right now, unless the Queen were to get you another one overall. But you do have a couple options in something like the Weevil, right? The Weevil could be really good to use that on and bottom deck. But first going to be swinging 5 at that Mihawk, going to be countering out that, putting only 3 cards in hand for this Doflamingo player right now. Just really enjoying life, it looks like. Really just, you know, casually being here. Just countering out of that as well. Keeping as many characters on the field as possible. We'll see what they decide to do with the rest of this dawn. I think they're thinking about playing the Queen right now. Maybe starting to do a little searching for the other Raise Max or Gordon. Because I do think at this point, if you were able to bottom deck the and finding a Sachi Penguin and a Raise Max, going to be able to bottom deck the Boa Hancock if they want to in this. Going to be pitching the Zoro right there. Not really seeing much use in the Zoro with 5 Dawn left. The thing is, with the Gordons and the Raise Max, you do have to elect to take out a character, and I think probably you get rid of Black Maria. As I was mentioning, Black Maria already pretty much done its job in the game right here. So you could maybe try out what I was curious about of the ruling of, like, oh, can you use Black Maria, and then once you get rid of it, do you have to still put the Dawn back? Essentially, still have to fulfill the second part of that effect, even though it's not on the field anymore. I personally think you would have to, but I would, again, love if you let me know the correct ruling. But anyways, going in here now, I would imagine that the Raise Max and Gordon will be played over the Black Maria, like I mentioned, to be able to bottom deck the Boa Hancock. The Boa Hancock, remember, freezing that other Queen that was there earlier, so the Queen cannot swing, but this Eustace Captain Kid will swing 6 into the Mihawk, really saving this Mihawk at this point. The Crocodile being pitched, only 1 card in hand right now, and so with 5 Dawn left, could be thinking about playing the Eustace Captain Kid or maybe the Kid Killer, right, to be able to, and it looks like they're attaching the Black Maria and swinging at the Mihawk. But countering out of that, they countered out of so much to save that Mihawk there. That body, really just valuing that body overall. And so 1 Dawn left right now. Going to be resting 1 to play over the Black Maria and then bottom deck a character. Thinking about what they want to bottom deck, I would imagine that you do the Weevil, right? You would minus the Weevil right there and then bottom deck it. It is 1,000 power above the Mihawk and the Jinbei, so going to be bottom decking it. I guess the Black Maria effect actually doesn't matter because it's so late in the game that the Doflamingo is already at 9 Dawn, right? So you don't have any Dawn that you have to put back. So very interesting interaction right there. But anyways, getting that Mihawk off of playing the Kid and Killer off of the leader effect, finally getting that down. Only a couple things left. Going to be swinging 8 now somewhere. Is it at lead? I think probably right now. Not looking too good for the Doflamingo, even though you're ahead on life overall. Just a really intimidating board in general. Forgot to put out the Dawn there for their 10 Dawn. Actually swinging at the Kid and Killer. That 8,000 power at the 5. Got a Sanji right now, actually. So the Sanji could be interesting. Going to be swinging 6. I'm sorry. The Sanji is 9,000 power. The Doflamingo going to be swinging 6. Wouldn't surprise me if this was at the Reiju right now. It is, and going to be taking that KO. Playing the Sanji, flipping over a Trafalgar Law and playing that card. The Trafalgar Law, at this point, it does have an activate mean of returning the character to the owner's hand. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand, they place 1 card from their hand at the bottom of their deck. The Trafalgar Law only having 4 cards in hand, you probably just keep that body there to be able to potentially swing next turn. If there is a world, a situation where you can get out of all of these swings, right, you would essentially be able to win the game. But with no cards in hand right now, I do not have high hopes, because you have no blockers right now. You've got no cards to be able to counter out with. This first 5k swing from the Trafalgar Law is going to be able to hit life, right, because you have nothing to stop it overall. The 6k, well, you could just add 1 card to the Queen, swing 7, get a life from there, right? So going to be taking that. Didn't get to see what it was. It is going to be a Sanji. No counter at all. A 7k swing going right here. It is going to be a 2k counter, which is nice. But this 8k swing and 9k swing incoming, even if this is a 2k, which it is not, is going to be... what are they doing right here? Going to be bottom decking... Nothing. Do they have a rush character? I can't remember. Going to be playing this blocker Trafalgar Law, getting that kid right there. Oh, just getting 1 more Dawn. That makes sense, actually. Using essentially that leader effect to just get 1 more, right? Because if they did technically have 2 2Ks and a 1K, they would have been able to get out of that last Queen swing. But utilizing the leader effect, even though that blocker Law was played and it didn't really mean anything, using that Useless Captain Kid blocker effect to get an extra 1 to say, okay, you need all 2Ks, I'm pretty sure, to be able to win the game. And if you don't have that, then, well, I win. And that's exactly what happened. So it will be a Trafalgar Law mirror match in the finals. We'll get to that in a moment in the next video. But first, we got to go over the deck lists of these 2 players. So this is the Doflamingo deck list. I won't spend too much time on it because we've already talked about it in a previous video. Just a very similar Doflamingo list to what we've seen in OP07 and whatnot. The Boa Hancock right here, still a really, really good card. Didn't get as much showcase in this game, but very, very strong overall in this, especially paired up with that secret rare Sanji, right? Being able to play different characters, essentially every single character from your deck right there onto the field as active. You got some cool combos in here with the Jinbei, as we saw earlier, the Jinbei into the Weevil right here. And the Gum Gum Rain is an interesting one of inclusion, that we've seen in this deck that I personally really, really like in my Doflamingo list heading into OP08. 4 of the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. I know a lot of lists, especially in like OP07, kind of split the Red Rock and Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. The more I think about it, the more I think I like just having Gravity Blade Raging Tiger in the list of the Doflamingos, especially in OP08, because of how dominant something like Law is, right? You think about some of the better decks in the OP08 format, at least showcased from this tournament, you know, like Black Yellow Luffy, is one that I think about right away. Bonnie and Perona, actually. Both of those were in the top 16 of this tournament. You know, you think about the Red Purple Law. Gravity Blade Tiger is a great card in pretty much all of those matchups. Yeah, you can't really deal with the big bodies, right? But especially with the Sanji potentially gives you an out to be able to deal with those big bodies, playing different cards on the field to be able to swing, especially these bigger bodies like Boa Hancock, right? An 8,000 power character, a 6/8 with an incredible effect overall, really, really strong in this one. So that's going to be it for that Doflamingo, but let's talk about the Law. The Law right here, really similar to the one we saw in the previous videos of this tournament showcasing the Law. And I think kind of you're starting to see, along with this second list, a skeleton for Red Purple Law, right? You play 4/4 of the Puddings, you play Gordon's, Raise Max, definitely a 4/4. You play at least 2 to 4 Otamas in there. You've got a couple Kid Killers. Queen, Eustace, Captain Kidd, Reiju are all great cards in the deck. Sachi Penguin, another good 2K. Sanji in there as well, that blocker. We didn't really see it in this game, but this list opting for the Roanoa Zoros that we saw. We didn't get to see the Zoro played, but the Zoro, a great card to include in the list. This one not opting for the Beppos for the extra ramp. It didn't really matter in this game. I would say the Beppos were much more impactful in the previous game, but still really, really cool overall in this one. Some good lists, and we'll see this exact list in the finals in the next video. So thank you again so much for watching. I'm going to try to get the finals out before the Aichi Championships happen this weekend, and yes, I will be commentating those. I hope to get those out a little bit faster than I have these, a little bit more timely. It's just been tough in the schedule. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm at home right now in my hometown. I don't have any of my equipment except my laptop, and yeah, I'm just trying to get some good commentary in. So hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully you stick around for the next one, and I hope to see you in it.